we can say that there's always something that it feels like everything's upside down and chaotic, and you may or may not be able to hear it, but in the background over in that direction there's somebody, I believe, felling trees, to chop up for firewood in the beautiful house over there. Always something that might be frustrating or confusing, that makes you feel a bit afraid, might make you feel a bit pointless sometimes. But there are times in your life that you've succeeded, that you've won, that you've had a day where everything went right and you've got everything ticked off the list. It's a reminder that you can actually get the things done. But I talk off and on about patience, and patience doesn't mean not doing anything. That's another P word called procrastination. I can do that later. There are some times that there are going to be days that you just won't get absolutely everything done, and it can feel like you're just endlessly sort of piecing pieces together. Life soup, no matter how many spoonfuls you take, the level just doesn't go down. But it is slowly but surely, and we always think that we're in end times and that there's no hope and that everything's pointless and everything's predestined, predetermined. And what's the point of life? Well, the point, my friends, is adventure. When things feel chaotic and upside down, well, it means that you're tipping the scales in your favor. You're doing new things, you're being bold, and you're being courageous, and you're taking the steps out into the unknown that most people just aren't even willing to consider doing, let alone actually stepping out truly and being the one beacon in in the grey skies. It's possible for you to be that person at any time, and it can be a really scary thing because there's no rule book. A couple of weeks ago I visited, there's a village very close to where I live, where I actually used to go to, we call them beavers. We have beavers, then cubs, then scouts. And I went to beavers, and I didn't continue, but I walked up to the part of the woods that's just above this village called Pilsley. And I found that, in fact, the very same lodge that I used to go to, still there. And I wanted to go for, as I did, a very, very long walk around various different loops. And walking through the woods, loads of the trees had obviously been knocked down and just strewn all over the place in the recent storms that we've been having. And I honestly thought I could sort of see the vague outline of a path, but it wasn't really a path. It was sort of a bit of desolation and destruction. But when I got to the bottom of this section of wood, which is lined with a beautiful dry stone wall that Derbyshire is famous for, dry stone walling, I got to the very, very bottom and I thought, am I going to have to go back up again and retrace my steps? But in fact, I actually found the gap in said wall to join the path that I ultimately wanted to join, to go on a totally new adventure in a completely new part of these wonderful surroundings. And I thought, thank God, thank the dear sweet Lord that I kept on going. Because I did. And it's sort of, the thing is, even though it's nothing, it's not major, I wasn't stuck up Kilimanjaro, or completely alone with no hope of contact in the Scottish Highlands or something. No, I was in a place that I actually am very, very familiar with, but I come back to it as a totally different, well, I wasn't a man back when I was going through those woods with the beavers. I'm coming back, grown up, more confident, more resilient, And that's when you have to have the patience, but you have to have the persistence to keep driving through the resistance. We face resistance all the time, and the vast majority of people, the vast majority of the time, will shun it, will run away from it, will avoid it. But the thing is, if you avoid the challenges, then you completely avoid becoming the absolute best possible version of yourself. It's inevitable. What goes in comes out. And if you put a lack of courage in, then you're going to get a lack of courage out. You know, the universe is very, very fair. The universe is very just. But sometimes it can feel, people will use the word harsh, but actually all they mean is, well, it's honest. It's truthful, you know? You will only get out what you put in. And it's why so few people really achieve the greatness that they could, because there are times where it does feel really uncertain and nerve-wracking. But that's the time to celebrate that you've got the opportunity to really go for it. And it's always there at your fingertips. But I'm not saying, again, to repeat myself, it is not easy, but it is doable. And believe me, my friends, the feeling, don't forget the feelings. So much stoicism around colourlessness, and go for the gorgeous, go for the delicious, go for the challenge, because the way that it will make you feel is alive.